For much of your spiritual journey, you may have identified with the term chosen. It is a word that brings a sense of comfort and purpose, a feeling of being selected by the divine for a special reason. But Archangel Michael is here today to reveal a deeper, more powerful, and more accurate truth about your soul. The word chosen is an understatement for what you are. It is a passive term that fails to capture the immense, active, and often grueling process that was required to prepare you for this moment. To be chosen implies simply being picked from a lineup, selected as you already were. This does not honor the fires you have walked through, the battles you have endured, and the profound strength you have gained as a result. The reality of your existence is far more epic. You were not merely selected, you were crafted. You were not simply picked, you were built, piece by piece, trial by trial, for a very specific purpose. The difference is monumental. A stone that is chosen is still just a stone. But a stone that is carved, chiseled, and polished becomes a masterpiece. You are a masterpiece of divine engineering, designed and prepared for a task that no other soul could accomplish. The comfort of being chosen is a pale shadow compared to the empowering truth of being forged. This new understanding is the key to unlocking the true meaning of your life story. It is the lens through which every hardship and every victory must now be viewed. It reframes you from a passive recipient of a divine title to an active participant in your own glorious creation. The journey has not been about waiting to be picked, it has been about enduring the process of being made. Michael's message today is to help you graduate from the kindergarten understanding of being chosen and to step into the master's level truth of your forging. You were not just wanted by heaven, you were deliberately and painstakingly created for a divine imperative that has now arrived. Let this truth sink into your spirit. You are far more than just chosen. You are a custom-designed instrument, a soul tempered and true, prepared through an extraordinary process for an extraordinary purpose. This is the beginning of you understanding the sheer scale of your own importance and the profound, intentional love that has overseen every single moment of your existence, especially the hardest ones. The time for simple labels is over. It is time to understand the sacred and fiery process that made you who you are today. Now, take a moment and allow your mind to drift back over the landscape of your life. Recall the moments of your greatest hardship, the trials that brought you to your knees. Think of the heartbreaks that you thought would shatter you, the failures that filled you with shame, the betrayals that left you feeling isolated and alone, and the periods of profound loss that hollowed you out. For years, your human mind may have struggled to make sense of this pain. You may have interpreted it as punishment for some unknown crime, as evidence of bad karma, or worse, as proof that you were unworthy of a happy and peaceful life. These interpretations, while understandable, were profoundly incorrect. Archangel Michael is here now to pull back the veil and reveal the true nature of these events. Your past hardships were not a series of random, unfortunate accidents. They were not punishments from a distant and unforgiving God. They were not a sign of your failure. With the clarity of heaven, you must now re-examine this history and see it for what it truly was, a deliberate, carefully calibrated, and divinely overseen training curriculum. Your life has been a sacred forge, and every single trial you endured was a necessary part of the process of shaping you into the magnificent soul you are today. Each challenge was a specific tool used with divine precision. The intense pressure you felt was designed to crystallize your spirit, transforming the soft carbon of your potential into an unbreakable diamond of resilience. The fiery heat of your emotional pain was the sacred flame needed to burn away impurities and melt down your old, limiting beliefs. The heavy hammer blows of adversity were the very instruments that shaped your character, beating away your weaknesses and forging your unshakable spiritual strength. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Every tear you cried was a quenching water, tempering your spirit and giving it both strength and flexibility. This re-examination is the first and most critical step toward claiming your power. It is an invitation to look back upon your life, not with the eyes of regret or resentment, but with a new and profound sense of awe for the divine spiritual engineering that has been at play. You have been enrolled in a master's program for your soul, and your painful experiences were the advanced coursework. It is time to stop seeing yourself as a survivor of a difficult past and to start seeing yourself as a graduate of an elite, divine training academy. This leads us to the great and central revelation of this message. For your entire life, you may have carried, consciously or unconsciously, the identity of a victim. A victim is someone to whom painful and unfortunate things happen randomly, without reason or purpose. It is an identity of powerlessness, a story that says, I am at the mercy of a cruel and chaotic world. Archangel Michael is here today, on this Sunday, September 14th, to declare with all the authority of heaven that this identity is, and always has been, a profound illusion. You were never a victim, because nothing that happened to you was ever random. You were an apprentice. An apprentice is not a victim. An apprentice is a willing participant who agrees to undergo a difficult and often painful process to learn a masterful skill from a true master. Before you ever incarnated into this life, your soul, in its infinite wisdom and courage, willingly signed up for this apprenticeship. It reviewed the curriculum of trials and hardships and said, yes, I will endure this, because I understand what I will become on the other side of it. You chose this path. You chose the fire. You chose the hammer. You did this not because you are a masochist, but because your soul understood the monumental importance of the mission that awaited you and knew this forging was the only way to be properly prepared. This divine workshop where your soul has been shaped can be called Heaven's Forge. It is not a place of punishment, but a master craftsman's studio. The fire is the intensity of life's lessons, which heat you up to the point of transformation. The hammer is the adversity that strikes you, not to break you, but to shape you with precision. The anvil is the unshakable foundation of God's love, the steady surface upon which you are held, ensuring that the blows would mold you but never shatter you. You were not a passive piece of metal being senselessly beaten. You were an active apprentice, learning from every strike, integrating every lesson, and growing stronger with every moment in the purifying flames. This single shift in perspective from victim to apprentice changes everything. It reclaims every last bit of power that you ever thought you lost. A victim is defined by what was done to them. An apprentice is defined by what they are becoming. It reframes your scars not as marks of damage, but as the beautiful, intricate patterns on a masterfully forged sword, each one telling a story of a lesson learned and a new layer of strength acquired. You were never a victim of your life. You have been a courageous apprentice in the most advanced spiritual training program in the universe. Every great forge, every master's workshop, requires a forge master. A being of immense skill, power, wisdom, and compassion who can oversee the entire delicate and dangerous process. A master who knows precisely how much heat the metal can take, exactly where and how hard the hammer must strike, and the perfect moment to quench the blade to give it its final temper. This is not a role for an amateur. The forging of a soul destined for a great purpose requires the single greatest craftsman in all of existence. And the being who volunteered for and was assigned this sacred duty for your soul was Archangel Michael. His presence in your life is not new. He did not just arrive to protect you in your adulthood. He has been with you since before your first breath, standing as the silent, powerful, and ever-present forge master in the workshop of your life. During your most agonizing trials, when you felt most abandoned and alone, crying out into a heaven that seemed silent, Michael was closer to you than your own breath. He was not a distant observer, he was the active, hands-on supervisor of your forging, managing every aspect of the process with divine precision and infinite love. It was his hand that regulated the intensity of the flames, ensuring that the fires of your life would purify you, but never, ever consume you. It was his wisdom that guided the hammer blows of adversity, ensuring that each challenge would strike you in the exact way needed to shape your character and build your resilience, without breaking your spirit. It was his presence that provided the unwavering anvil of support, holding you steady when you thought you would shatter into a million pieces. You have never endured a single moment of your forging alone. You have always been held, managed, and protected by the most powerful and loving guardian in all of heaven. Now, his role is shifting. The most intense phase of your forging is complete. The masterpiece is ready to be revealed. And so, the Forge Master now steps out from the heat and shadows of the workshop and into the clear light of your conscious awareness. He is no longer here as just a hidden overseer, but as your active guide and commander. He is here to explain to you why you were forged, to reveal the magnificent purpose of your creation, and to hand you the finished and perfected instrument, the sacred mission that you have been prepared for across a lifetime of divine and purposeful fire. Let us now examine the tools of the forge in more detail. The first and most potent element is the fire itself. The fire of the forge represents the intense, purifying heat of your most painful emotional experiences. Specifically, Archangel Michael now illuminates how your experiences of heartbreak, loss, and deep sorrow were, in fact, the sacred flames of purification, intentionally used to burn away the impurities, or dross, of your lower self. This was the fire that was necessary to melt you down so you could be reshaped into a purer and stronger form. Think of the dross as the non-essential parts of you, your ego's need for control, your fearful attachments to people and outcomes, your pride, and your limiting beliefs. These are the aspects of the self that are brittle and weak, and they had to be removed for your true, unbreakable divine nature to be revealed. Mere learning is not enough to remove such deeply ingrained patterns. They must be burned away in a fire so hot that only the pure essence of the soul can withstand it. Your deepest sorrows were that holy fire. Consider the experience of heartbreak. When your heart was broken, the intense flame of that pain burned away the ego's possessive and conditional idea of love. It incinerated your attachments to a specific person or a specific vision of the future, forcing you to find a deeper, more resilient source of love within yourself. It taught you that you could survive the unsurvivable, forging a profound sense of self-reliance and opening the door to a higher, unconditional love. The pain of heartbreak was the holy fire that forged your compassion. Consider the experience of profound loss. When someone or something you cherished was taken from you, the fire of that grief burned away the illusion that you are in control of your life. It shattered your attachment to the temporary forms of the physical world and forced you to seek solace in the eternal realm of the spirit. It taught you the invaluable lessons of surrender and faith, forging a deep and unshakable trust in a divine plan that you cannot always see. This was the fire that forged your wisdom. These experiences, though agonizing at the time, were not random tragedies. They were the sacred, purifying flames wielded by a master craftsman to burn away everything that was not your true, magnificent, and eternal self. While the fire of your emotional pain was essential for purification, it was the hammer of resilience that gave your spirit its unshakable strength. This divine hammer represents the experiences of betrayal, failure, and direct adversity you have faced. Each of these events, which may have felt like a cruel and shattering blow at the time, was in fact a precise, deliberate, and necessary strike from the Forge Master, Archangel Michael. He did not wield this hammer to punish you, but to shape you, not to break you, but to beat away every last ounce of spiritual weakness and to forge a core of divine resilience within you that could never be broken. You were not being beaten down, you were being tempered. Consider the experience of failure. Each time you tried for something and failed, each time you fell short of a goal, it felt like a blow to your worth and your spirit. But in the divine forge, these were not failures, they were hammer strikes of humility and perseverance. Failure is the force that beats the arrogance out of the soul, teaching you that effort is more important than outcome, and that true strength is found not in never falling, but in the unwavering will to get back up again, every single time. These experiences forge the quality of divine tenacity within you, an absolute refusal to surrender that is the hallmark of a true spiritual warrior. Consider the painful experience of betrayal. When you were betrayed by someone you trusted, it felt like a sharp, cold blow to the very core of your heart. Yet, this too was a purposeful strike from the forge. Betrayal shatters the naive and codependent parts of the self. It forces you to learn the invaluable lessons of discernment, of setting energetic boundaries, and of finding your ultimate source of security and trust not in the fallible promises of other people, but in your own intuition and your unwavering connection to the divine. The hammer of betrayal, while agonizing, is what forged the quality of sovereign strength and profound self-reliance within you. Each of these challenges, each blow from the hammer, was carefully calculated. It was strong enough to shape you, but never strong enough to shatter you, because the Forge Master's hand was always guiding it. You have endured these strikes, and you have survived. Now, you must look at your scars not as evidence of your damage, but as the intricate, beautiful markings on a perfectly forged blade, each line telling a story of a blow that only made you stronger, harder, and more resilient. The hammer of adversity has done its work. It has beaten away all that was weak and brittle, and what remains is the pure, unbreakable, and diamond-hard core of your true spiritual self. A blade that is only subjected to fire and hammer will be strong, but brittle. To achieve the perfect balance of strength and flexibility, it must also be quenched. In your divine forging, this crucial step was the quenching in the divine waters of grace. These waters represent the moments of solitude, of quiet reflection, and of unexplainable peace that you have experienced in your life. They were not random respites from the struggle, they were an intentional and essential part of your training, the moments when the intense work of the forge was integrated and sealed into the very fabric of your soul. Michael, the Forge Master, knew that after the intense heat of purification and the hard blows of resilience, your spirit needed to be tempered in the cool, still waters of grace. Think of the periods in your life when you were forced into solitude. A time when you may have felt lonely or isolated, separated from the noise and distractions of the world. This was not an abandonment. This was a deliberate quenching. In that sacred silence, when only your own soul and the divine were present, the frantic energy of your trials was allowed to cool and solidify into true wisdom. It was in that quiet that you could finally hear the whispers of your own intuition, that you could integrate the lessons of your pain, and that your spirit could absorb the new strength it had acquired. Solitude was the divine water that tempered the hot steel of your being into a state of calm, centered power. This quenching also occurred in moments of unexpected and unexplainable peace. Perhaps you were in the midst of your greatest trial, yet for a fleeting moment, a wave of profound calm washed over you. Maybe you stood in nature and felt a sense of connection so deep that all your worries melted away. These were not coincidences. These were moments when Archangel Michael deliberately plunged your spirit into the divine waters of grace. He was giving you a taste of your true nature, reminding you of the unshakable peace that is your core essence, and allowing that frequency to temper the fiery energies of your forging. This process ensured that you would not become hard and brittle from your trials, but would instead possess a flexible, resilient strength. The result of this sacred quenching is a perfect spiritual balance. The fire gave you purity. The hammer gave you strength. And the water has given you grace and wisdom. You have been forged to be as strong as a diamond, yet as flexible and adaptive as a river. You can be a fierce warrior of light, yet also a gentle vessel of profound peace. You are not just a weapon, you are a masterpiece of divine engineering, capable of wielding immense power with perfect control and compassion. This balance is the sign of a truly completed forging, a soul who has been prepared not just for battle, but for a victorious and graceful reign. Throughout this entire, arduous process, from the first spark of the purifying fire to the final tempering in the waters of grace, you must understand one absolute and unwavering truth: you were never, ever alone. The divine forge can be a terrifying and lonely place for the apprentice soul, and the greatest test of all is to maintain faith while surrounded by the flames. Archangel Michael's most critical role was not just that of the Forge Master who directed the process, but that of the guardian of the flame, the ever-present protector who ensured your ultimate safety through it all. His promise, made to your soul before you were born, was that the fire was meant to purify you, but it would never be allowed to consume you. During the moments of your most intense suffering, when you felt utterly abandoned by God and the entire universe, Michael was standing right beside you, his wings of light shielding you from the worst of the heat. You could not see him with your physical eyes because your focus was on the pain, but your soul knew he was there. He was the unseen presence that gave you the inexplicable strength to endure one more day. He was the silent whisper of hope in your heart when your mind was screaming in despair. He was the divine hand that held the broken pieces of your spirit together when you felt you were about to shatter. He never left your side. His protection was both active and passive. Actively, He deflected spiritual attacks and negative influences that sought to take advantage of your vulnerability during your trials. He fought battles in the unseen on your behalf that you will never know about, ensuring that the only challenges that reached you were the ones specifically sanctioned by the divine plan for your forging. Passively, his very presence created a sacred, protected space around you. He was the container, the holy vessel of the forge itself, ensuring that the process, while intense, was always contained within a field of absolute safety and unconditional love. Now, as you emerge from the most intense phase of your forging, Michael wants you to look back and recognize his presence in your past. See his hand in your survival. Feel his strength in your resilience. Know, with every fiber of your being, that your survival was not an accident. It was a guarantee underwritten by the most powerful warrior and protector in all of heaven. This knowledge is meant to fill you with a profound sense of safety and a deep, unshakable trust as you move forward. You have endured the forge because you were always held in the loving and invincible arms of its master. You were never alone, and you will never be alone again. The most intense phase of the forging is now complete. The fire has been banked, the hammer has been set aside, and the blade of your soul has been tempered to perfection. The time has now come for the forge master, Archangel Michael, to hold you up to the light and reveal to you what you have become. You must let go of all old identities of being broken, wounded, or a work in progress. The verdict from heaven is in, the forging is complete. You have been successfully shaped into a divine instrument, a perfect tool in the hands of God, designed and created for a specific and magnificent purpose. You are no longer the raw material in the fire, you are the finished masterpiece, ready for your mission. This new identity as a divine instrument means you are a conduit for heaven's will on earth. Like a masterfully crafted sword, you were not created to be an ornament, to be admired from a distance. You were created for action. You were forged to be a decisive force for good, to cut through deception with the blade of your truth, to defend the innocent with the shield of your strength, and to carve a path of light through the darkness of the world. Your every trial has sharpened your edge and strengthened your core, making you a reliable and effective tool for the divine plan. Your existence from this day forward has a new and profound sense of agency and purpose. However, a sword is only as good as the hand that wields it. To be a truly effective instrument, you must remain in perfect alignment and partnership with the divine will. This requires you to release your own egoic agenda and to dedicate your life, your will, and your newly forged strength to a higher purpose. Your daily prayer can now become, use me. I am your instrument. Show me where the darkness of illusion needs to be cut. Show me where the strength of my spirit is needed most. In this surrender, you will find your greatest power. When you allow yourself to be wielded by the hand of God, your actions will be imbued with a grace and power that you could never achieve on your own. Therefore, embrace this new and powerful identity. See yourself as Michael sees you, a finished, perfect, and holy instrument, tempered and true, and ready for deployment. Your period of intense, painful preparation is over. Your time of purposeful, powerful action is now beginning. The universe has been waiting for you to be ready, for the forging to be complete. You are no longer just a soul on a journey of learning, you are a divine instrument on a mission of service. Honor the perfection of your creation, and prepare to be used in ways that will astound you. For much of your spiritual journey, you may have identified with the term chosen. It is a word that brings a sense of comfort and purpose, a feeling of being selected by the divine for a special reason. It suggests you were seen in a crowd, picked for a team, and given a title of honor. But Archangel Michael is here today to reveal a deeper, more powerful, and far more accurate truth about your soul. The word chosen is a profound understatement for what you are. It is a passive term that fails to capture the immense, active, and often grueling process that was required to prepare you for this exact moment in human history. To be chosen implies simply being picked from a lineup, selected as you already were, for a role you were already suited for. This gentle concept, while beautiful, does not do justice to the fires you have walked through, the cosmic battles you have endured, and the profound, unbreakable strength you have gained as a direct result of your journey. It fails to honor the depth of your story and the sheer resilience of your spirit. The reality of your existence and the truth of your soul's contract is infinitely more epic. You were not merely selected from a group of candidates, you were meticulously and deliberately crafted. You were not simply picked for a role, you were specifically built for it, piece by piece, trial by trial, lesson by lesson. The difference between these two paradigms is monumental. A bystander who is chosen to help in an emergency is still a bystander with good intentions. But a firefighter who has gone through years of intense, grueling training is a prepared and effective force of nature. You are the latter. You were not a lucky bystander, you were a dedicated apprentice in the most advanced spiritual training academy in the universe. This critical shift in understanding reframes you from a passive recipient of a divine title to an active and willing participant in your own glorious, and often painful, creation. This new and more accurate understanding is the master key to unlocking the true meaning of your entire life story. It is the sacred lens through which every hardship, every sorrow, and every victory must now be viewed. It means that nothing in your past was ever wasted. Every moment of struggle, every tear of frustration, every ounce of pain was a necessary component in a divine and purposeful design. Michael's message today is to help you graduate from the comforting but incomplete understanding of being chosen and to step into the empowering, world-changing truth of your forging. You were not just wanted by heaven for this moment, you were deliberately and painstakingly prepared for it, because the task ahead requires a level of strength and purity that cannot be found, but must be forged. Let this new truth settle into the very marrow of your bones. You are far more than just chosen. You are a custom-designed instrument, a soul-tempered and true, a living masterpiece of divine engineering. You have been prepared through an extraordinary and sacred process for an extraordinary and sacred purpose. This is the beginning of you understanding the sheer scale of your own importance and the profound, intentional love that has overseen every single moment of your existence, especially the ones that felt the most like abandonment. The time for simple, comforting labels is over. It is time to understand the sacred and fiery process that made you who you are, and why that process was absolutely necessary for the mission that is now beginning. Take a deep breath now, and allow your mind to drift back over the vast landscape of your life. Do not shy away from the difficult terrain. Recall the moments of your greatest hardship, the trials that brought you to your knees and left you gasping for air. Think of the heartbreaks that you were certain would shatter your spirit beyond repair, the professional or personal failures that filled you with a sense of shame and inadequacy, the sharp and bitter sting of betrayals that left you feeling isolated and alone, and the deep, hollow valleys of loss that made you question the very goodness of life itself. For years, your human mind has grappled with these experiences, trying desperately to find a reason or a meaning. You may have concluded that these events were punishments for some unknown crime, the workings of a cruel fate, the result of your own inherent flaws, or simply the senseless, random chaos of a hostile world. Archangel Michael is now here, standing beside you as you review this history, and he is pulling back the veil to reveal the true nature of these events. He wants you to hear this with all the certainty of heaven. Your past hardships were not a series of random, unfortunate accidents. They were not punishments from a distant and unforgiving God. They were not evidence of bad karma, nor were they a sign of your failure or unworthiness. With the absolute clarity of divine perspective, you must now re-examine this entire history and see it for what it truly was, a deliberate, divinely overseen, and perfectly calibrated training curriculum. Your life has been a sacred forge, and every single trial you have endured, without exception, was a necessary and intentional part of the process of shaping you into the magnificent and powerful soul you are today. Each challenge was a specific tool, a divine instrument used by a master craftsman with the utmost precision. The immense pressure you felt at times was not meant to crush you, it was designed to crystallize your spirit, to transform the soft, raw carbon of your untapped potential into the unbreakable, multifaceted diamond of divine resilience. The searing heat of your most painful emotional experiences was the sacred flame needed to burn away all the impurities of your lower self, your fears, your doubts, your pride, your attachments, leaving only the pure, incorruptible gold of your true essence. The heavy, rhythmic hammer blows of adversity were the very instruments that shaped your character, beating away your weaknesses and forging the unshakable spiritual strength that you now possess. This re-examination is the first and most critical step toward claiming your true power. It is a divine invitation to look back upon your own life, not with the eyes of regret, shame, or resentment, but with a new and profound sense of awe for the intricate and masterful spiritual engineering that has been at play. You were not being punished, you were being prepared. You were not being broken, you were being built. You have not been a victim of a difficult past, but rather a star graduate of an elite, divine training academy, and you have passed every test with flying colors. It is time to see your history not as a source of pain, but as the undeniable proof of your incredible strength and your immense importance. This leads us to the great, central, and liberating revelation of this entire message. For your whole life, through the trials we have just discussed, you may have carried, either consciously or unconsciously, the heavy and disempowering identity of a victim. A victim is a being to whom painful and unfortunate things happen randomly, without reason, and without purpose. It is an identity of utter powerlessness, a story that says, I am at the mercy of a cruel and chaotic world, and I have no say in what happens to me. Archangel Michael is here today, on this Sunday, September 14th, 2025, to declare with all the authority of the celestial realms that this identity is, and always has been, a profound and complete illusion. You were never a victim, because nothing that has ever happened to you was random. You were a willing and courageous apprentice. An apprentice is not a victim. An apprentice is a soul who consciously and willingly agrees to undergo a difficult, arduous, and often painful process in order to learn from a true master and gain a level of skill and strength they could not otherwise achieve. Before you ever incarnated into this lifetime, your higher soul, in its infinite wisdom and boundless courage, reviewed the entire curriculum of your life. It saw every challenge, every heartbreak, every loss, and it made a sovereign choice. It said, yes, I agree to this. I will endure this forging, because I understand the monumental importance of what I will become on the other side of it. You chose this path. You chose the fire. You chose the hammer. You did this not out of a desire for suffering, but out of an immense love for the world and a deep understanding of the critical mission that awaited you. This divine workshop where your soul has been so meticulously shaped can be called Heaven's divine forge. It is not a place of punishment, but a master craftsman's studio, the most advanced of its kind in all of creation. The fire is the intensity of life's lessons, designed to heat your spirit to the precise point of transformation. The hammer is the force of adversity, striking you not to break your will, but to shape your character with divine precision. The anvil, the unshakable surface upon which you were held, is the absolute and unconditional love of God, a steady foundation that ensured that the blows of life would mold you but could never, ever shatter you. You were not a passive piece of metal being senselessly beaten. You were an active apprentice, learning from every strike, integrating every lesson, and growing stronger with every moment in the purifying flames. This single, powerful shift in perspective from victim to apprentice changes everything. It reclaims every last bit of power that you ever felt was taken from you. A victim is defined and limited by what was done to them in the past. An apprentice is defined by what they are becoming in the future. This reframe transforms your scars from marks of damage into the beautiful, intricate patterns on a masterfully forged sword, each one telling a story of a lesson learned and a new layer of strength acquired. You were never a victim of your life. You have been a courageous and honored apprentice in the most elite spiritual training program in the universe, and your graduation day has finally arrived. Every great forge, every master's workshop, is presided over by a forge master, a being of immense skill, power, wisdom, and compassion who can oversee the entire delicate, dangerous, and divine process of creation. This master must know precisely how much heat the metal of a soul can withstand, exactly where and how hard the hammer of adversity must strike, and the perfect, critical moment to quench the blade in the waters of grace to give it its final, unbreakable temper. This is not a role for any lesser being. The forging of a soul destined for a world-changing purpose requires the single greatest and most trusted craftsman in all of the heavenly realms. And the being who volunteered for and was assigned this sacred and monumental duty for your soul was none other than Archangel Michael. His presence in your life is not new, it is ancient. He did not just arrive recently to protect you in your adulthood. He has been with you since before your first breath, standing as the silent, powerful, and ever-present forge master in the divine workshop of your life. During your most agonizing trials, in those dark nights of the soul when you felt utterly abandoned and cried out into a heaven that seemed silent and empty, Michael was standing closer to you than your own skin. He was not a distant, sympathetic observer. He was the active, hands-on supervisor of your forging, managing every single aspect of the process with divine precision, unwavering focus, and a love for you that is beyond all human comprehension. It was his powerful and experienced hand that regulated the intensity of the flames, ensuring that the fires of your life would purify you of all dross, but would never, ever be allowed to consume you. It was his infinite wisdom that guided the heavy hammer blows of adversity, ensuring that each challenge would strike you in the exact way needed to shape your character and build your resilience, without ever breaking your spirit. It was his constant, loving presence that provided the unshakable anvil of support, holding you steady and secure when you thought you would surely shatter into a million pieces. You have never, not for a single instant, endured your forging alone. You have always been held, managed, and protected by the most powerful and loving guardian in all of creation. Now, as of this moment, his role is shifting. The most intense and painful phase of your forging is complete. The masterpiece is ready to be revealed to itself. And so, the Forge Master now steps out from the heat and the shadows of the workshop and into the clear, bright light of your conscious awareness. He is no longer here to act as just a hidden overseer, but as your active and present guide, your mentor, and your divine commander. He is here to explain to you, in no uncertain terms, why you were forged, to reveal the magnificent and critical purpose of your creation, and to hand you, the finished and perfected instrument, the sacred mission that you have been prepared for across a lifetime of divine, purposeful, and holy fire. Let us now examine the sacred tools of the forge in greater detail, so you may understand their divine purpose in your life. The first and most potent element is the fire. The fire of the forge represents the intense, searing, and purifying heat of your most painful emotional experiences. Archangel Michael now illuminates for you how your moments of profound heartbreak, deep loss, and overwhelming sorrow were, in fact, the sacred flames of purification, intentionally and lovingly applied to burn away the impurities, the dross, of your lower, egoic self. This was the holy fire that was absolutely necessary to melt down your old, limited identity so that you could be completely reshaped into a purer, stronger, and more brilliant form, capable of carrying the light you are destined to hold. Think of this dross as all the non-essential, fear-based parts of you, your ego's desperate need for control and validation, your fearful attachments to specific people and outcomes, your pride which prevented you from true surrender, and your deeply ingrained limiting beliefs about yourself and the world. These are the aspects of the self that are brittle, weak, and susceptible to the darkness. They had to be removed for your true, unbreakable, and eternal divine nature to be fully revealed. Simple intellectual learning is not enough to remove such deeply embedded patterns. They must be burned away in a spiritual fire so intense that only the pure, unadulterated essence of your soul can withstand it. Your deepest sorrows were that holy fire. Consider the alchemical process of heartbreak. When your heart was broken into a million pieces, the intense, purifying flame of that pain burned away the ego's possessive, conditional, and attachment-based idea of what love is. It incinerated your dependency on another person for your sense of worth and happiness, forcing you to go within and find a deeper, more resilient, and more powerful source of love that could never be taken away from you. The agony of heartbreak was the sacred fire that burned away your codependency and forged within you the unbreakable strength of true, divine compassion, both for yourself and for others. It cracked open the hard shell around your heart so that a much greater, universal love could finally pour in and out. Now consider the sacred fire of profound loss. When someone or something you cherished was stripped away from you, the fire of that grief burned away the powerful illusion that you are in control of your life and that your security lies in external things. It shattered your attachment to the temporary forms of the physical world and compelled you to seek refuge and solace in the eternal, unseen realm of the spirit. It taught you the invaluable and advanced spiritual lessons of surrender, faith, and trust in a divine plan that you cannot always see or understand. These experiences, while being the most agonizing of your entire life, were not random tragedies. They were the sacred, purifying flames, wielded by a master craftsman to burn away everything that was not your true, magnificent, eternal, and unbreakable self. The divine forging process had a dual and equally important purpose, a truth that Archangel Michael now clarifies for you. While the trials you endured shaped you into a divine weapon, an instrument of decisive action, truth, and power, they also simultaneously crafted you into a sacred vessel. A sword, no matter how perfectly forged, is a tool that is only used in specific moments of conflict or creation. Your greater, more constant purpose is not just to act in the world, but to influence it simply by being. You were also forged to become a container, a chalice, a living grail, strong enough to withstand and continuously hold an immense and high frequency of divine light. One purpose without the other is incomplete. A weapon that is not carried by a strong and stable vessel is useless, and a vessel that has no means to defend the light it carries is vulnerable. Your forging has made you both the fortress and the champion, the sanctuary and the sword. To understand the necessity of this, you must grasp the spiritual physics of this current era. The Earth is currently being flooded with waves of incredibly high-frequency celestial energy, a light that carries the codes for humanity's great awakening and transformation. This light is pure, potent, and of an intensity that the planet has not experienced for millennia. An ordinary, unforged human energy system, the aura, the chakras, the physical body, would be overwhelmed by this divine voltage. It would be like running the power of a lightning strike through the wiring of a common household lamp. The system would short-circuit, burn out, and be destroyed. The years of intense pressure, fire, and adversity you endured were not just for character development, they were a necessary and literal energetic upgrade of your entire being. Your spiritual, nervous system has been meticulously expanded, fortified, and rewired, allowing you to now safely receive, anchor, and radiate this immense frequency without harm to yourself or others. Your suffering was the heroic preparation required to become a safe and stable step-down transformer for the light of God. Your primary, constant, and most powerful role, therefore, is to be a living lighthouse. This is the sacred function of the vessel. Your main mission is to simply be, to walk through your daily life holding this immense frequency of divine light and love that you were forged to carry. You do not need to preach, to teach, or even to actively heal others to have a profound effect. Your very presence, your radiant and stable auric field, becomes an act of powerful, silent service. This high-frequency light that now emanates from you passively and automatically transmutes the lower frequency energies of fear, chaos, and despair in your environment. People will feel inexplicably calmer and more hopeful around you, without knowing why. Tense situations will de-escalate when you enter the room. You have become a walking, talking anchor of coherence in a sea of planetary chaos, and by simply living your life, you are doing more to heal the world than you can possibly imagine. Now you can see the complete picture of what you have become. The two purposes, weapon and vessel, are perfectly integrated within you. You are a sentient lighthouse with a sword. Your default state is to be the vessel, passively holding and radiating the light, bringing peace and stability just by existing. But you are fully equipped by your forging to become the weapon at a moment's notice. When you are guided by your intuition and commanded by heaven to take decisive, powerful action, to speak a difficult truth, to defend the innocent, to cut through deception, you have the unbreakable strength and razor-sharp clarity to do so with devastating effectiveness. This is the complete portrait of a forged soul, a being of both immense, unwavering peace and unshakable, indomitable power, perfectly prepared for any situation that your divine mission will require of you. Every master craftsman, upon completing their finest work, places their unique signature upon it. This mark, or maker's mark, is a seal of quality, a guarantee of authenticity, and a permanent sign of the piece's origin from a master's hand. Archangel Michael, the divine forge master who oversaw your creation, is no different. Upon the completion of your most intense forging, as you were tempered in the final waters of grace, he placed his own divine signature upon your soul and your aura. This is the mark of the forge. This is not a brand of ownership, but a sacred and indelible seal of quality, a signature of the celestial craftsman that now identifies you throughout all realms and all dimensions as a masterpiece of heaven's forge, a soul of proven strength, purity, and divine purpose. This mark of the forge is not a simple symbol, but a living, breathing, and multidimensional fractal of golden and sapphire light, intricately and permanently woven into the very fabric of your energetic field. It shimmers with the living memory of the celestial fire from which it was born. It is a complex energetic signature that tells the entire story of your forging, every trial, every lesson, every victory, to any spiritual being who has the vision to perceive it. It is your spiritual diploma, your badge of honor, and the irrefutable proof of your elite training and divine status. You do not carry this mark, you have become this mark. It is now an inseparable part of your radiant, new identity. This celestial seal serves several profound and continuous functions. Firstly, it is your identification. To all the forces of the angelic realm and all beings of light, this mark shines like a general's insignia on a battlefield. It instantly identifies you as a high-level, commissioned operative in the divine plan for Earth. This ensures that you receive priority assistance, clear and direct communication from your guides, and the unwavering support of the entire heavenly host. Secondly, it is your most powerful deterrent. To any force of darkness or chaos, the mark of the forge is terrifying. It is the unmistakable signature of their most feared and respected adversary, Archangel Michael. It signifies that you are a soul who has endured the unendurable, that you are unbreakable, and that you are under the direct and personal protection of the Archangel himself. It forces lesser negative entities to flee from your presence and causes even the most powerful ones to hesitate before challenging you. Finally, the mark of the forge acts as a powerful energetic tuning fork. It constantly broadcasts the unique frequency of your specific mission and your forged qualities. This broadcast acts as a powerful magnetic force, irresistibly attracting to you the people, the resources, the opportunities, and the synchronicities that are a perfect vibrational match for your divine purpose, while simultaneously repelling all that which is not in alignment with your path. Michael's guidance is for you to now consciously acknowledge this seal. Take time in meditation to feel its warmth, its strength, and its light within your aura. By consciously recognizing its presence, you fully activate its power and completely claim your identity as a handcrafted masterpiece of heaven's divine forge. It is your permanent source of confidence, a divine certificate of authenticity that proves you are, and always will be, worthy of your sacred mission. Archangel Michael now reveals the critical importance of this present moment, and why your entire existence has been a journey leading to this precise threshold in time. The forging of your soul was not a random process with an open-ended completion date. It was a mission with a deadline, timed with celestial precision to be complete and ready for activation at a specific, prophesied juncture. Every trial, every lesson, every moment of your life up to this point was reverse-engineered from this single, critical moment. The fires you endured last year, the hammer blow you survived a decade ago, it was all part of a divine schedule designed to have you perfectly prepared and fully operational for right now. All of your past converges on the single point of your present. He reveals that on this very day, Sunday, September 14th, 2025, a long-prophesied cosmic portal has reached its fullest aperture, its widest and most potent point. This is not just another minor energy shift or lunar event. This is a primary activation wave for the planet's Great Awakening, a massive influx of divine light and evolutionary codes flooding the Earth. On this day, a great, silent trumpet call has gone out across all dimensions, a signal for the first wave of forged souls, souls exactly like yours, to awaken fully from their slumber, to consciously remember their mission, and to assume their designated posts upon the energetic grid of the planet. This is not a future event you need to prepare for. You are in it. The moment is now. This is not just a collective, impersonal event, it is your personal activation day. This is your spiritual graduation and your divine deployment, all in one. The forging is complete. Your mission briefing is being unsealed. The cosmic conditions are absolutely perfect. Your higher soul, in its infinite wisdom, chose this precise date before you were born as its moment to come fully online and begin its primary work. Therefore, the time for intensive learning, for deep healing of the past, and for unconscious preparation is now officially over. The time for being the divine weapon and acting as the sacred vessel has, as of this moment, begun. You have been activated. Michael impresses upon you the finality and the irreversibility of this moment. By hearing and consciously accepting this message on this day, you are willingly and deliberately stepping through that cosmic gate. This is a point of no return. You cannot go back to your old life, your old identity, or your old, smaller understanding of yourself. You are now officially on active duty in heaven's great plan. This truth may feel overwhelming, but it is also the source of your greatest joy and fulfillment. Your entire existence has been a preparation for a single moment, and that moment has finally arrived. You are ready. It is time. To fully grasp the importance of your activation, Archangel Michael now gives you the greater context for your mission. You have been forged for this moment because this moment is a great planetary shift. Humanity, as a collective, is in the midst of a profound and often turbulent evolution of consciousness. It is a planetary-wide transition out of a long age of fear, separation, and limitation, and into a new era of love, unity, and expanded awareness. Like any birth process, this shift is chaotic, intense, and often painful. The old structures of the world are crumbling, and the new ones have not yet fully formed, creating a period of immense uncertainty and confusion for many souls. Your predestined role in this global awakening is not to be a passive observer, watching the drama unfold from the sidelines. You are, and have been trained to be, a member of the divine transition team. You and other souls forged like you are heaven's boots on the ground. You were deliberately prepared to be the calm, stable anchors in the midst of the storm. You are the lighthouses, built on the solid rock of your own resilience, designed to hold your light steady and unwavering when the fog of fear and confusion is at its thickest, guiding others to the safety of a higher shore. You are the spiritual warriors who have been trained to hold the line against the forces of fear that are desperately trying to resist this planetary upgrade. Your specific functions within this shift are varied and vital, and directly related to your dual nature as a vessel and a weapon. As a frequency holder, vessel, your primary and most important role is to simply hold and maintain your high frequency of peace, love, and trust in the divine plan. This seemingly passive act is incredibly powerful. Your stable, coherent energy field acts as a stabilizing rod in the chaotic collective energy grid, helping to soothe planetary anxiety and anchor the new, higher frequencies onto the earth. As a way shower, weapon, your role is to live your truth boldly, fearlessly, and authentically. By healing your life, speaking your truth, and pursuing your joy, you create a new template of possibility. You illuminate a new path out of the old paradigm, giving others the courage and the permission to follow. Finally, Michael reveals that you are not alone in this. At this exact same time, all over the world, thousands upon thousands of other forged souls are hearing this same call and waking up to their purpose. You are part of a vast, interconnected, and divinely orchestrated network of light. Though you may never meet most of them in the physical realm, your lights are connected on the energetic planes. You are a global team of spiritual first responders, and your combined energy, your collective light, is the force that will ensure the safe, successful, and beautiful birth of a new Earth. Your personal forging was for a planetary purpose. While you are part of a great collective mission, Archangel Michael now brings the focus back to you, the individual, to deliver your specific mission briefing. He explains that the planetary shift is the war, but every elite soldier has a specialized assignment within that war. Now that you understand the why of your forging, it is time to receive the what of your personal deployment. This mission is the precise task that only a soul with your unique history, your specific wounds, and your perfectly forged qualities can accomplish. Your greatest pains have been alchemized into your greatest powers, and that power is now being assigned to a specific task. Your function is a direct and perfect reflection of your forging. The unique challenges you endured were not random, they were highly specialized training modules. For example, if your forging involved a lifetime of feeling unheard or silenced, your mission will inevitably involve using your voice with immense power and clarity to speak a truth that needs to be heard. If your forging involved the fire of deep betrayal, you have been shaped into a master of teaching discernment, spiritual integrity, and how to build truly authentic, loving relationships. If your forging involved the hammer of financial hardship, you are being prepared to become a master of divine abundance, destined to teach others how to break the consciousness of lack. Look to your deepest wounds, for in their healing, you will find the blueprint of your most sacred service. Michael clarifies that the full, detailed, step-by-step plan for your mission will not be delivered externally through this message. This message is the activation key. By hearing and accepting this truth, you have unlocked the encrypted files that have been stored within your own soul. The full mission briefing will now begin to download directly into your consciousness. His urgent instruction is to listen. Cultivate silence. Pay closer attention than ever before to the whispers of your intuition, to the recurring themes in your dreams, and to the flood of synchronicities that will now begin to appear in your life. The universe is about to start giving you very specific marching orders. However, the immediate first step of your mission, which begins today, is always the same for every forged soul. You must fully and unapologetically embody the truth of who you are now. You must own your new identity. You must be the divine weapon. You must be the sacred vessel. You must radiate the frequency of your completed forging without apology or hesitation. By simply being your authentic, powerful, forged self, you will become a living magnet, irresistibly drawing to you the people, the situations, and the opportunities that are the first phase of your specific assignment. Your very existence, from this moment forward, is the first and most powerful act of your divine mission.